The morning sky over New York City fractured into shards of light, as if a dozen suns had exploded simultaneously. Citizens looked up, shielding their eyes, hearts pounding in confusion and terror. The cause was unmistakable and unimaginable. Colossal warships, dark and silent, filled the heavens. They hung there like black monoliths, blotting out the sun and casting long shadows over the streets below. A dozen vessels, each larger than any city, hovered in synchronized formation above every major metropolis across the globe. They were the Galactic Empire's shadow fleet, arriving unannounced, uninvited, and unyielding. Lieutenant Kai Moreno's stealth fighter sliced through the dense clouds above the Andes, its slender shape barely visible even to the most advanced radar. At just under 3 meters, the Phantom Hawk was one of Earth's most secret weapons, designed for speed, agility, and, if necessary, infiltration. Kai's dark visor reflected the monstrous ships as he orbited silently, tasked with a mission few knew about. Get close enough to record the Imperial fleet's communication patterns and send a message. Command: this is Phantom Hawk. Visual. Confirmation: 12 warships, each with weapon arrays the size of skyscrapers. No sign of diplomatic intent. Requesting clearance to proceed with recon, Kai whispered into the comlink, the static crackling with urgency. The voice that answered was steady but tight. Copy that, Phantom Hawk. You're cleared. But be careful. This isn't just a show of force, they mean business. Kai's heart hammered as he dove toward the lead vessel. The Imperator, an Imperial dreadnought named with cruel arrogance, glided silently, its hull coated in dark alloys that absorbed every ray of light. No flags flew, no ambassadors came forth. Instead, an eerie broadcast filled every network, a message delivered in a chilling mechanical voice. People of Earth, it began, the words cold and heavy with menace. The Galactic Empire demands your immediate submission. Join our dominion or be quarantined to extinction. This is not a negotiation. Back on the ground, the broadcast blasted from every screen, from towering billboards in Times Square to handheld devices in the hands of a schoolboy in Nairobi. Panic flickered in the eyes of millions, but across the world, a different reaction took root. Defiance. In a starkly lit room beneath the United Nations building in Geneva, Earth's leaders gathered. The room was tense, voices low but fierce. Years of division, conflict, and distrust melted away in the heat of the moment. Old rivalries were replaced by a singular fiery resolve. Amina Velasquez stood at the head of the council, a former war hero turned diplomat, her eyes sharp and unwavering. They think us weak, she said, her voice cutting through the murmur. They believe a primitive planet like Earth will bow like the others. We will show them how wrong they are. Her fingers danced across the console, sending a live response across every frequency the Empire could reach. The message was simple, direct, and unmistakably human. Terran space is sovereign. Any Imperial incursion will be met with force. We do not seek war, but we will defend our home. The words spread like wildfire, fueling a surge of hope and anger that reverberated through every city, every village, every corner of the globe. Humanity was united, not by fear, but by fierce pride. In orbit, the Empire's commanders watched the Terran broadcast with surprise and irritation. The Zarn, ambassador, an alien figure cloaked in obsidian robes, his eyes cold and unreadable, snarled in disdain. Primitive fools, he hissed. They know nothing of the power we wield. They will learn. But Earth was no longer the fragile planet the Empire had studied for centuries. Beneath the surface, a secret web of preparation hummed to life. Ancient defense systems once thought obsolete were reactivated. The Phalanx fleet, Earth's hidden shield, rose from secret shipyards scattered across the planet and the asteroid belt. Its sleek cruisers, equipped with technology harvested from humanity's darkest nights and brightest triumphs, moved silently to intercept. Kai Moreno's fighter was recalled as new orders came through. The briefing was clear. Gather what intelligence possible, then return to Earth's command before the Empire took a second step. As he banked away from the Imperator, A low alarm sounded in his cockpit. A wave of interference scrambled his comms, a warning the Empire was already testing Earth's defenses. The Shadow Fleet was here. The war for Earth's freedom had begun, and humanity was ready to fight. The global network buzzed with urgency. As the Imperial fleet loomed in orbit, Earth's governments convened the most critical emergency meeting in history, the Terran Accord Council. Leaders from every corner of the world, once divided by centuries of conflict, now sat side by side, in a grand chamber beneath the United Nations headquarters in Geneva. The polished marble and glass walls seemed to reflect the flickering anxiety in the room, but also the spark of a new resolve. Amina Velasquez stood at the center, a beacon of calm amid the storm. Her sharp gaze swept the assembly. Presidents, prime ministers, generals, scientists, all gathered to answer one question. How does humanity fight an enemy that rules stars? Enough. Amina's voice cut through the chatter, ringing with authority. The Empire believes we are fractured, weak. They expect us to fracture further under pressure. We will prove them wrong. A hush fell. This is not just a fight for Earth. It's a fight for every future generation. Every language, every culture united. We stand together, or we fall divided. There is no middle ground. Her words were met with solemn nods, some faces etched with doubt, others burning with determination. Years of conflict, of mistrust between nations dissolved in an instant. The threat was clear and present. It demanded unity, yet beneath the surface currents of fear and skepticism flowed. The Empire's power was vast, and many whispered that resistance was futile. A fragile truce between rival factions began to strain, threatened by old rivalries and secret agendas. Suddenly, the chamber's massive holoscreen flickered, showing a live feed of Earth's surface. A crowd gathered in London's Trafalgar Square, chanting, holding banners that read, "Humanity stands, and no empire." In our skies, the camera panned to a young woman, her face streaked with dirt and tears, raising her fist. The crowd roared back, a wave of human defiance that echoed in the chamber's silence. Amina's voice softened. The people will not be broken, neither will we. But the Empire's message was brutal, relentless. The Imperial broadcast continued on every channel. Surrender, or be destroyed. The ambassador's voice, mechanical and merciless, left no room for negotiation. Behind the scenes, Earth's intelligence agencies raced against time. Information flowed in torrents, intercepted Imperial transmissions, data on fleet movements, whispers of new weapons. Every second counted. Kai Moreno sat in a dim command room aboard the Phalanx flagship, watching the flickering tactical displays. The stealth fighter pilot had returned from his reconnaissance, delivering vital intel on the Empire's fleet formations and weaponry. His report was grim, but not hopeless. They're testing our defenses, Kai said quietly. But their ships, while massive, are slow to respond. They rely on overwhelming firepower, not finesse. That's an advantage for us. A grizzled admiral leaned in. We'll take every advantage we can get. Earth's defense is not just our technology, it's our unpredictability, our tenacity. The Empire hasn't faced humanity in battle before. In the political chamber, debates flared. Some urged immediate diplomatic talks to avoid bloodshed. Others demanded total mobilization for war. Amina addressed them all. We do not seek war, but we will not surrender. We have spent decades rebuilding after wars, climate disasters, and global crises. This planet is our home. Every inch belongs to us. Her words galvanized the assembly. A historic decision was made. Earth would unify its military forces under a single command. The Terran Defense Coalition was born, a symbol of humanity's commitment to stand firm. The coalition quickly mobilized. Spaceports across the globe sprang to life, launching fighter squadrons, cruisers, and supply ships. Underground bunkers, once relics of Cold War paranoia, became nerve centers coordinating defense. On the ground, civilians prepared for the worst, but hoped for the best. Schools shifted lessons to emergency protocols. Scientists worked feverishly to adapt technology, reverse engineering fragments of alien tech scavenged from previous deep space missions. In New Delhi, a young engineer named Riya Patel volunteered to join the tech corps. Her hands trembled as she calibrated a quantum communications relay. "If we can't outgun them, we'll outsmart them," she said fiercely. "We have to." Meanwhile, in orbit, the Phalanx fleet readied for deployment. Among the ships was the Hawthorne, piloted by Kai Moreno, now part of a larger squadron, tasked with protecting Earth's vital wormhole nexus, Proxima Gate. The tension was palpable. Every sensor blip could signal an attack. Every transmission might carry an ultimatum or worse. And then, just as the first stars began to pierce the twilight, Earth's broadcast network came alive again. Amina Velasquez's voice rang out across the galaxy, transmitted not just in the local systems but across the Empire's own channels. "Empire of the Stars," she declared, eyes blazing with unyielding will. "Hear this. Terran space is sovereign. We do not bow. We do not break. Any attempt to claim our home will be met with the full force of humanity's resolve. We fight not for glory but for survival. We fight because Earth will never fall." Across the Empire's fleet, the transmission caused a stir. The ambassador's lips curled in contempt, but for the first time, a flicker of doubt crossed his eyes. Back on Earth, in cities and villages, people listened. Hope rekindled like a wildfire. Humanity had drawn its line, and the war for Earth had truly begun. The orbital research station above Mars hummed quietly, a jewel of human scientific progress drifting in the thin atmosphere. Its towering arrays and gleaming solar wings basked in the weak sunlight, unaware that it was about to become the front line in a galactic war. Without warning, alarms shattered the calm. Red lights bathed the corridors as the stations automated. Defense systems roared to life. The Imperial Vanguard, a squadron of sleek, menacing Imperial fighters, had descended from the Shadow Fleet, intent on crippling humanity's knowledge base before Earth's defenses could mobilize fully. Lieutenant Kai Moreno, now back from reconnaissance, sat strapped inside the cockpit of his stealth fighter Hawthorne, orbiting close by. His headset crackled with urgent commands. "Imperial fighters detected inbound on Martian orbit. Phalanx squadron, engage immediately." The Phalanx fleet surged forward like a swarm of deadly hornets, weaving between debris and solar sails, their dark hulls blinking with pulses of electromagnetic energy. The Empire's fighters were sleek and heavily armed, but they lacked one crucial thing: understanding of Terran tactics. Kai's fingers danced over the controls as his Hawthorne slipped through the chaos, outmaneuvering enemy fire with practiced ease. "Engaging Squadron Delta 3, he reported, targeting lead interceptor. The two fighters spiraled in a deadly ballet above the red planet, laser beams streaking like bolts of lightning. Kai's training kicked in, every move sharpened. By countless drills and instinct, he dodged a barrage, then fired an EMP pulse that sent the enemy craft spinning into a wild tumble. Below, the research station's shields flickered under bombardment. Scientists and technicians scrambled, sealing bulkheads and securing sensitive data cores. Dr. Elena Marquez, lead xenobiologist, glanced anxiously at the view screen. If they breached the outer hull, decades of research could be lost forever. Suddenly, a deafening explosion rocked the station. A missile from an Imperial fighter struck the main communications array, cutting off contact with Earth. Kai's voice was steady but urgent. "Phalanx command to all units. Protect the station at all costs. We cannot lose that data." The battle escalated. Imperial fighters launched waves of missiles and plasma bursts. The Phalanx cruisers responded with gravitational mines and particle beams, turning space into a deadly chessboard of light and shadow. But the Empire had a secret weapon, a new class of drone fighters, autonomous, relentless, and armed with nanite swarms designed to cripple electronics. These drones swarmed the Phalanx fleet, disabling systems with surgical precision. Kai's HUD flashed warnings. His shields flickered dangerously low. "Requesting backup," he shouted, weaving through the swarm with desperate skill. Then a blinding flash tore across the void. A massive shadow loomed behind the Imperial fighters. The Phalanx flagship Aegis, cloaked in stealth fields, launched a devastating counterstrike. Its graviton lances sliced through enemy lines, fracturing drone swarms and scattering fighters like leaves in a storm. The tide began to turn, but victory came at a steep price. During a fierce dogfight, Kai's wingman, Lieutenant Soren Blake, took a direct hit. His fighter spun out of control, streaking toward the outer belt. Kai watched helplessly as Soren's last transmission crackled over comms. "I'm going down. Keep fighting. For Earth." The loss hit hard, even as the Empire's forces were pushed back. Back on the station, engineers worked feverishly to repair the damaged comms array. Dr. Marquez coordinated with military technicians, her scientific mind racing to protect the fragile data. "If we lose the research on the xenotech integration, Earth's chances drop drastically," she said grimly. Suddenly, a private channel opened on Kai's comms, a voice he hadn't expected. "Lieutenant Moreno," the voice said, tense but composed. "This is Ambassador Zarn. Your defiance is noted. But know this, we have weapons you cannot comprehend. Soon your resistance will be meaningless." Kai's grip tightened. "Your threats don't scare us. We're ready." "Perhaps," the ambassador replied coldly. "But readiness alone won't save your world." The channel went silent, leaving Kai with the weight of the warning echoing in his mind. As the Imperial fighters retreated, the Phalanx fleet regrouped. The Mars station, though battered, remained intact, but the battle was far from over. Kai gazed down at the red planet's surface, illuminated by the glow of distant fires. Each life lost, each shattered ship, was a stark reminder. The Empire had brought war to humanity's doorstep. Yet beneath the loss, a fierce fire burned, a determination to fight harder, to never yield. The war for Earth's freedom was underway, and humanity would answer the Empire's challenge, no matter the cost. Beneath the restless waves of the Pacific Ocean, deep within an uncharted trench, a hidden facility thrummed with life. The water pressure outside was crushing, but inside the research station Arches II, humanity's brightest minds worked feverishly on an ancient secret, one long buried beneath layers of time and silence. Dr. Elena Marquez paced the command room, eyes fixed on the holographic projection hovering above the table. The artifact they had recovered weeks earlier was no ordinary relic. It pulsed faintly with alien energy, humming with a power that defied human understanding. "This could change everything," Elena said, her voice tight with excitement and fear. The Arches civilization perished centuries ago, crushed by the same empire we now face. But they left behind this technology that could level the playing field. In the center of the hologram, a complex lattice of crystalline structures shifted and shimmered. An alien device designed for war and survival, perhaps the last hope of a species gone to dust. Captain Kai Moreno stood nearby, his usually confident demeanor shadowed by doubt. "If the Empire destroyed Arches, what chance do we have? Are we just repeating history?" Elena shook her head. "No, Arches fell because they were divided. We're united. We have something they never had, our will." The room's comm crackled suddenly. A sharp voice broke the tension. "Elena, we've detected Imperial scouts near the trench. They must know about the artifact." Kai's jaw clenched. "They're coming for it. In the War Council chamber." On Earth, Chancellor Amina Velasquez listened intently as reports came in. The Arches artifact was more than a relic. It was a beacon of hope and danger intertwined. "Activate Project Sentinel," she ordered. "We need to unlock the artifacts. Secrets, but we must keep it out of Imperial hands. Dr. Marquez and her team have 36 hours. Elena and her scientists delved into the artifact's mysteries, using every tool and theory at their disposal. The crystalline lattice responded to energy fields, shifting as if alive. Slowly, patterns emerged, symbols of defense, propulsion, and power modulation. Kai stood guard in the observation deck, his eyes scanning the dark ocean beyond reinforced glass. The silence was broken by a sudden tremor. Explosions rocked the facility's outer hull. Imperial drone fighters had found them. "Battle stations!" Elena shouted, adrenaline surging. The crew scrambled to their posts as automated turrets, powered up, firing pulses into the advancing drones. Kai grabbed his combat rifle ready to defend the station. The enemy was relentless, their drones swarming in waves intent on tearing down the sanctuary. Amid the chaos, Elena shouted over the alarms, "I'm close. The artifact is responding to my input. It's stabilizing." A sudden burst of light erupted from the artifact, flooding the chamber with iridescent energy. The alien device projected a holographic map showing star systems, warp routes, and hidden locations of Archi's outposts. Kai's comm crackled with an urgent message. "Phalanx. Fleet inbound. Estimated arrival in 10 minutes. Hold the line." The station's defenses faltered under the relentless assault. Hull breaches opened and water seeped into lower decks. Every second counted. Elena worked feverishly, her hands flying over consoles. "If I can harness the artifact's energy, we might generate a shield strong enough to repel the drones." Kai moved through the corridors, rallying engineers and security teams. His voice was calm, authoritative. "Focus on the power cores. Keep them stable." Outside, the water churned as the Imperial drones pressed their attack. But just as the station began to falter, a wave of shimmering energy radiated from the artifact, enveloping the facility in a protective bubble. The drones stalled, their weapons fizzing out in the force field. "Shields holding," Elena breathed, relief flooding her face. The holographic map glowed brighter, revealing a hidden note in Arcus script. "To those who survive, wield our legacy wisely. The Empire fears unity." Kai stared at the message, feeling the weight of history. The Archies had failed because they were fractured, but humanity's strength lay in its unity. The artifact was more than a weapon. It was a call to arms and a warning. As the Imperial fleet retreated beyond sensor range, Elena looked at Kai. "We have their attention now. The Empire will come for this." Kai nodded grimly. "Then we'll be ready." Back on Earth, Chancellor Velasquez addressed the Terran Council. "The Archi's legacy is our blueprint. We fight smarter, stronger, and together. We will not be the ghosts in the Empire's shadow." In the quiet depths of space, the stars blinked silently. Humanity's war was far from over, but with the past lighting their path, a new hope burned brighter than ever. The Proxima Gate was humanity's most precious asset, a colossal wormhole, stationed in deep orbit around the nearest star system, acting as Earth's cosmic gateway to the stars. It was the lifeline for trade, travel, and military deployment across human space. Now it had become the Empire's primary target. Commander Kai Moreno stood on the Hawthorne's bridge, his gaze locked on the swirling energy vortex of the gate. The station shimmered like a pearl, vast and humming with power. Around it, the Phalanx fleet held their positions, a fragile shield against the encroaching shadow of the Imperial Armada. "The Imperial fleet is advancing fast," reported Lieutenant Jessa Kwan from Tactical. "Their heavy cruisers are in formation. We've confirmed at least 2 capital ships approaching within weapons range." Kai clenched his fists. "How long before they try to breach the gate's defenses?" "Minutes," Jessa said grimly. "Our sensors picked up a squadron of saboteurs boarding a supply vessel bound for the station. They've compromised the outer perimeter." Alarm bells blared through the Hawthorne as the station's internal communications crackled with panicked voices. "Commander Moreno, this is Captain Amina Velasquez, Proxima Gate Command," crackled the voice over comms. "Saboteurs have infiltrated the docking bays. We're locked in a firefight. Request immediate support." Kai's jaw tightened. "Hold position. Hawthorne and Delta Squadron are launching assault teams. We'll clear the docks and secure the station." The tension in the fleet was electric. Across comm channels, orders were shouted, fighters scrambled, and the massive ships prepared to unleash devastating barrages. Every second could decide humanity's fate. As Hawthorne dropped from stealth, Kai led his squadron into the thick of the battle. Explosions rocked the station's exterior as plasma fire streaked across the void. Imperial saboteurs, clad in black armor and armed with cutting-edge weaponry, slipped inside the station's hull. Kai's team breached the docking bay with practiced precision. The metallic corridors echoed with the staccato of gunfire. Smoke curled from ruptured pipes and sparks rained from damaged consoles. "Clear left corridor," shouted Lieutenant Soren Blake, bruised but resolute. Kai's heart pounded, not just from the firefight but the stakes. The gate was humanity's lifeline. Lose it and Earth would be cut off from its allies stranded in a cosmic siege. Suddenly, an explosion shook the docking bay. Kai was thrown against a bulkhead, the world spinning. As the dust settled, he saw a dark figure slip past a damaged door, a shadow moving too fast to catch. "Saboteur escaped," Kai growled. "Pursuit team, move out." The chase was brutal. Through cramped maintenance tunnels and labyrinthine ducts, Kai and his team hunted the saboteur, a ghost in the station's guts. Every corner held danger: traps, automated defense drones malfunctioning from the sabotage, and the ever-present risk of structural collapse. Kai's comm buzzed with a sudden alert. "Commander, a secondary breach has been detected in the reactor." "Control room. If they hit the core, then it's game over," Kai finished grimly. Racing against time, Kai pushed deeper into the station. His muscles ached, his breath came fast, but surrender was not an option. Ahead, the saboteur moved with deadly purpose, planting explosives around the reactor's containment units. Kai raised his rifle, sighted carefully, and fired. The shot rang out, hitting the saboteur's shoulder. The figure stumbled, then turned, revealing a helmeted face, cruel and unyielding beneath the visor. "You're too late, Terran," the saboteur hissed. "Your resistance ends here." Kai charged forward, tackling the saboteur into a console. Sparks flew. The explosives, already primed, began to beep. "Disarm!" Kai shouted. Hands trembling, he fought the complex alien timer, fingers working. With desperate speed, seconds ticked by like hours. A thunderous blast rocked the station, knocking Kai back. The saboteur was gone, vanished into the chaos. Kai scrambled to his feet, heart pounding. "Reactor's stable, for now. But we've only bought time." Back on the Hawthorne's bridge, Lieutenant Kwan reported, "Imperial cruisers are deploying heavy bombardment. We'll need to move fast." Commander Velasquez's voice crackled through again. "Kai, Proxima Gate is holding, but barely. You and your squadron are the last line. We must hold here, or humanity's access to the stars is lost." Kai's eyes hardened with resolve. "Then we fight." As the Phalanx fleet braced against the incoming storm of plasma fire and missile barrages, Kai led his squadron in a desperate counterattack, weaving through the deadly dance of war. Fighters exploded in brilliant flares, capital ships traded blows that could tear planets apart, and above it all, the gate pulsed, the cosmic portal to humanity's future, waiting to either save them or become their tomb. The void beyond, Proxima Gate shimmered like a storm on the edge of a knife. The Empire's fleet had tightened its grip, its massive cruisers hammering Earth's defenses with relentless barrages. Every second the gate held was a victory, but time was running out. Commander Kai Moreno gripped the controls of his Hawthorne, heart pounding as the battle raged around him. Explosions lit the blackness, streaks of plasma and debris carving. Deadly arcs through space. The station's shields flickered under strain, cracks spiderwebbing across energy barriers. Lieutenant Jessa Kwan's voice broke through the noise. "Commander, we're detecting multiple breaches along the southern hull. Saboteurs and boarding parties are inside. We need to repel them now, or the gate will fall." Kai's jaw clenched. "Delta Squadron, form up. We're going in." As Hawthorne and its squadron plunged into the chaos, Kai's mind raced. The artifact from Arcus had given humanity hope, but the war was brutal and unforgiving. Every loss was a blow to the fragile unity they'd fought so hard to build. Inside, Proxima Gate, alarms screamed. Automated turrets fired on Imperial boarding teams, but the enemy was skilled, ruthless and determined to seize control. Kai's squadron fought alongside Terran security forces in the twisting corridors where each step could be the last. The saboteurs used advanced cloaking tech, vanishing and reappearing like ghosts. In one narrow corridor, Kai caught sight of a saboteur preparing to detonate explosives near the power conduits. Without hesitation, he charged, firing precise bursts that sent the enemy crashing to the floor. "We don't have time to hunt everyone," Jessa shouted. "Focus on the reactors and command center." Kai nodded, pushing deeper into the stations. Guts. The air was thick with smoke and tension. Overhead, the hum of the gate's core grew ominous, a reminder of how close they were to disaster. Suddenly, the ground shook violently. An explosion rocked the station. The lights flickered and emergency protocols kicked in. The core was destabilizing. Kai's comm buzzed. "Commander, the artifact's energy signature is fluctuating. It's reacting to the gate's instability." Elena Marquez's voice came over the line, calm but urgent. "If we can channel the artifact's power into the gate's shields, we might stabilize the core. But it's risky. It could overload and destroy the station." Kai's hands tightened on his rifle. "Do it. We don't have a choice." Back in the control room, Elena worked furiously, rerouting power and syncing the alien artifact with the gate systems. The air crackled with energy as ancient technology merged with humanity's defenses. Outside, the battle escalated. Imperial cruisers launched a final wave of missiles and plasma fire, threatening to tear the gate apart. Kai and his squadron intercepted missiles mid-flight, weaving through bursts of enemy fire. Fighters fell around. Bright flares marking comrades lost." "Hold the line!" Kai shouted. "For Earth!" In the control room, Elena's hands flew over the controls. "Almost there. Now!" A surge of radiant energy erupted from the artifact, cascading through the gate's shields. The faltering barriers flared back to life, glowing with renewed strength. The reactor stabilized. "Shields at full power," Jessa reported. The Imperial fleet faltered, caught off guard by the sudden resurgence. The Phalanx capital ships seized the moment, unleashing a devastating counterstrike that pushed the enemy back. But the victory came at a cost. Kai's comm buzzed one last time, Lieutenant Soren Blake's voice, weak but steady. "Commander, the boarding teams breached the command center. We're pinned down. I'm covering the evacuation." "Hold on, Soren," Kai pleaded. "No time," Soren said. "Protect the gate. That's what matters." Kai's breath caught as the line went dead. The Hawthorne surged forward, joining a last-ditch assault to reclaim the command center. Kai fought through the chaos, every shot a promise, to his fallen comrades, to Earth, to the future. As the Imperial boarding parties were finally pushed back, the gate's operators restored full control. Proxima Gate's energy pulsed steadily once more, a beacon of hope in the darkness. Kai gazed out at the battered fleet, the stars shimmering beyond. The cost had been high, too high, but humanity had stood firm. Back on Earth, Chancellor Amina Velasquez addressed the world, her voice steady despite the gravity. "Today we faced annihilation, and we stood our ground. The Empire underestimates the strength of a united humanity. We will continue to fight. We will prevail." Kai lowered his visor, letting the weight of the battle settle. The war was far from over, but for now, Earth had held the line, and somewhere deep inside him, the fire of hope burned brighter than ever. The taste of victory at Proxima Gate still lingered in the air, but beneath the surface of triumph, shadows stirred, dark currents threatening to unravel humanity's fragile unity. Commander Kai Moreno returned to Earth aboard the Phalanx flagship Aegis, weary but resolute. The battle had left scars, both physical and emotional, and he knew the war was far from over. In the High Council chamber, Chancellor Amina Velasquez stood before the gathered leaders of the Terran Alliance. Their faces, etched with exhaustion, reflected the toll of endless conflict. "We've bought ourselves time," Amina began, her voice firm, "but the Empire will not relent. We must root out the traitors who undermine us from within. A murmur rippled through the room. Kai's eyes narrowed. Treachery? After fighting together against an overwhelming foe? Later, in a secure briefing room, Kai met with Elena Marquez and Lieutenant Jessa Kwan. Elena's expression was grave. Our intelligence confirms it. There are agents within our ranks feeding information to the Empire. Jessa's voice was cold. Saboteurs, spies. They've been sabotaging missions, leaking locations, and even coordinating attacks like the one at Proxima Gate. Kai clenched his fists. We can't win if we're torn apart from the inside. Elena nodded. The Archi's artifact is a beacon, not just for the Empire, but for those who would exploit its power. We must secure it and expose the infiltrators before they destroy everything. As they plotted their next move, a sudden alert shattered the calm. Security cameras flashed, showing an intruder deep inside the research facility housing the Archi's artifact. Kai grabbed his rifle. We're not just fighting in space. The war is here, in our homes. The team raced to the facility, navigating darkened corridors where every shadow seemed alive with menace. The intruder moved with deadly precision, evading security and disabling defenses with ease. Kai's squad cornered the figure in the main chamber. The intruder turned, revealing the cold eyes of a former Terran officer, Captain Mira Voss. Once a trusted ally, now a traitor. Why? Kai demanded. Why betray your own? Mira's voice was steady, almost mournful. You think this is about power? It's about survival. The Empire offers order in chaos. You cling to freedom, but at what cost? Your leaders sacrifice lives without hesitation. Kai shook his head. Freedom is worth fighting for. We're stronger united, not divided by fear. Mira smiled bitterly. You're naive. The Empire will consume you all. Before Kai could react, Mira activated a device, sending a pulse that disrupted the artifact's containment field. The crystalline structure glowed violently, energy crackling wildly. Elena rushed forward, desperate to stabilize the artifact. We have to contain it. If it overloads, a massive explosion rocked the facility, throwing everyone to the ground. Smoke and debris filled the air. When the dust settled, the artifact was dark, its power seemingly spent. Mira was gone, vanished in the chaos. Kai struggled to his feet, eyes burning with determination. We'll find her, and we'll protect what remains. Back in the council chamber, the mood was grim. The artifact's damage was a severe blow, not just strategically but psychologically. The enemy's shadows had penetrated the heart of humanity's hope. Chancellor Velasquez addressed the council again. The Empire's threat is not just external. We must cleanse our ranks and rebuild our trust. Only then can we face the darkness ahead. Kai knew the road ahead was perilous. The war had become a battle not only against an empire but against doubt, fear, and betrayal. Yet in the deepest shadows, a single truth remained clear. Humanity's greatest strength was its unity, and no enemy, external or within, would break that bond. As Kai gazed out at the stars, he vowed silently, "We will stand, we will fight, and we will endure." The skies over Earth burned with dawn's first light, casting long shadows over the battered but unbroken cities. The war with the Galactic Empire had left scars, but humanity's spirit was fiercer than ever. Commander Kai Moreno stood on the observation deck of the Aegis, the flagship that had carried him through fire and chaos. Behind him, the Archi's artifact rested in a newly reinforced vault, its mysterious power dormant but not defeated. Chancellor Amina Velasquez entered quietly, her presence commanding yet gentle. The council has agreed. It's time to take the fight to them. Kai turned, nodding. We've defended our home for too long. Now we push forward. Elena Marquez joined them, eyes bright with cautious optimism. The artifact's energy signature is stabilizing. We've deciphered more of its secrets, technology that could revolutionize our fleet. Jessa Kwan stepped in, her voice steady. With the Empire reeling from Proxima Gate and internal dissent, Their hold is weakening. We have allies among the conquered worlds who are ready to rise. The pieces were falling into place. Humanity was no longer a cornered prey. It was becoming a beacon of resistance, a rising force that challenged the Empire's tyranny. Kai's comm crackled. Captain Moreno, we've received a distress signal from the Sirius system. Rebel fleet's under siege. Prepare the fleet, Kai ordered. We move at once. As the Aegis and the Terran fleet jumped into hyperspace, Kai reflected on how far they had come. From Earth's defiant stand to the battles at Proxima Gate, from betrayal within to the rallying of allies across the stars, it had all led here. The hyperspace jump ended with a breathtaking burst of stars, revealing the chaos of war. The Sirius system was ablaze with combat, Imperial ships besieging a ragtag but determined rebel fleet. Kai's fleet surged forward, weapons blazing, cutting through the Imperial blockade. Fighters darted through the void, missiles streaked like shooting stars, and colossal ships exchanged thunderous fire. Amid the battle, Kai led a strike team toward the Imperial command ship. The Orcs' technology integrated into Terran vessels gave them an edge. Shields flared stronger, weapons hit harder. Inside the command ship, Kai confronted the Imperial Admiral, a cold strategist who embodied the ruthless will of the Empire. You're fighting a losing battle, Commander, the Admiral sneered. The Empire is eternal. Kai's voice was steady, unwavering. Empires fall, people endure, and humanity fights for freedom. The battle reached a crescendo as the Terran fleet overwhelmed the Imperial forces. The command ship exploded, in a dazzling inferno, signaling a turning point. Back on the Aegis, the fleet gathered for a moment of solemn triumph. Messages from liberated worlds flooded in, systems breaking free from Imperial chains, rising to join humanity's cause. Chancellor Velasquez addressed the fleet. Today we stand not just as defenders of Earth, but as liberators of the galaxy. We build a future where freedom and unity are the stars we follow. Kai looked out into the vastness of space, the horizon alive with possibilities. The Orcs' artifact hummed quietly, a reminder of ancient wisdom and new beginnings. In the war rooms and starships, humanity's resolve hardened. The Galactic Empire was wounded but not defeated. Yet now, it faced an unbreakable force, a united Terran. Empire rising from the ashes, the dawn of a new era had come and humanity was ready.